Hello, gentle viewers. This is Avindian welcoming you back to Tabletop Simulator and 13 Days, the game about the 1962 October Cuban Missile Crisis between the Soviet Union and the United States. This game is designed by Daniel Skjold Peterson and, forgive me if I get this incorrect, Oscar Sans Granorud of Jolly Roger Games and Ultra Pro. And this is an area control game in which two players compete to decide the outcome of the Cuban Missile Crisis. In case you're not familiar with the Cuban Missile Crisis, allow me to give you a bit of history on what happened here. And let's shuffle some cards while I think. The island of Cuba is 90 miles off the coast of the United States. And in 1959, it was controlled by a dictator named Fulgencio Batista. Perhaps Batista, I don't know where the accent is. And this dictator was friendly to the United States for the most part, but at the same time, he was pretty unpopular with the people of Cuba. And so there was a communist revolution, although how communist it is up for historical debate, and I'm not going to get into that, led by Fidel Castro. He was victorious in 1959, and that placed a potentially hostile power just 90 miles off the continental United States. And so when John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960, this created a real concern. Khrushchev, the premier / general secretary of the Soviet Union, thought that Kennedy was weak because he was young, which he was. He was in his 40s when he got elected. He's actually the youngest elected U.S. president. And he thought he'd be kind of soft a little bit. Although, if he paid attention, he would have known that John F. Kennedy actually fought in World War II and was a commander of a PT boat called PT-109, which was turned into a movie. Anyway, we're getting a little bit too deep into the weeds. So, the two sides start immediately kind of pushing each other back and forth on many issues across the globe, but especially on Cuba. And after a fashion, the first blow comes from the United States during the Bay of Pigs invasion, which is a particular area in Cuba where the United States armed guerrillas, basically, guerrilla in Spanish, not, giant monkeys, although maybe that would have worked better, in order to invade, defeat Castro, and reclaim Cuba. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Partly because Kennedy wasn't sure how much of America's prestige to do anything with. So that didn't work out. But it gave Khrushchev an idea, and he started talking a lot more to Castro. This actually really pushed Castro into the Soviet Union's arms, really. He was maybe somewhat sympathetic already, but they basically asked for help. There were some very, very, very lucrative trade deals signed between them, and the Soviet Union basically promised to protect Cuba. What actually precipitated the Cuban Missile Crisis was when the United States allowed Turkey to join NATO. And they said, we need to protect our NATO member. I'm going to put some medium-range nuclear missiles in Turkey. And this was a huge deal. Massive deal. And when the Soviets found out about it, they decided that they would retaliate by sending a nuclear missile to Cuba. And that is where we open in October of 1962, after the United States discovers this secret Cuban missile was sent to Cuba. So this game takes place over 3 rounds, with 8 phases in each round. The game can end prematurely if either side causes nuclear war, which happens if one player gets all 3 of their tokens in the DEFCON 2 state, or any one of their tokens in the DEFCON 1 state. But that only matters at the end of the round, specifically in phase 7. It can go past that before that. So we're going to be taking turns playing cards in order to place our influence cubes out in the world so that we can win specific issues. Please note that the world opinion battlegrounds are scored every turn. The others are only scored if you have a specific, if you won a specific agenda. And they offer some pretty nice bonuses, so they are definitely worth it. I think that's enough to actually get us started and to finish up. It's kind of set up, but kind of not. Do you know that this particular sim does not include the flag tokens? They exist, but they're connected to bad links. So I just used pawns. But the actual board game comes with that. There's also a misprint on the agenda decks. I haven't looked at my copy of the game to see if this actually made it into the production copy of the game. This might be based on a prototype. But there's a misprint on most of the agenda cards, and I'll talk about that when we draw those cards. So the first thing we do every turn is we always increase every DEFCON track by 1. This happens every single turn at the beginning. The next thing we do is we're going to draw 3 agenda cards. As you'll notice, there are 13 cards in the deck. Get it? Get it? But it also means that you will always not see 1 agenda card, because there's only 3 rounds of the game, which means only 9 cards are drawn. So actually, there's several cards you won't see. And this part of the turn happens simultaneously. I'm going to do it sequentially just because it's how the game has to work. But you're going to look at your 3 cards, and you're going to basically tell your opponent what you have, sort of. So we have Berlin, Cuba, and the world opinion track. I'll go into what the agenda cards mean here in a second. The U.S. has Cuba, Turkey, and Italy. Notice it's the Cuba political background card. It is not the Cuba military background card. Turkey and Italy. Now, each player is going to secretly choose one of these goals to be their goal for the round. And so you want to do some very careful thinking about it. I would very much, as the Soviet Union, prefer to go for either Cuba or Berlin because I've already got a token there. If the U.S. chooses Cuba, I can deny them a prestige point, even if they win their battleground. So I think this actually becomes a fairly easy choice, and they choose Cuba. The other 2 cards are then turned upside down and discarded face down. The American player sees this world background, and he's like, yeah, okay. There's not much I can do to stop them from getting that other than going after it myself. So it really comes down to Turkey or Italy. And Italy is worth a guaranteed bonus point. So I'm going to take Italy. And that's the USA agenda. And again, the other 2 cards are flipped over and discarded. It doesn't matter if you discard them face up, actually, because they already know what you drew based on the pawns, which stay on there for the whole time, but whatever. So, we're going to be competing over these different groups, and whoever has the most of the ones that are marked as agendas is going to get some prestige points. So that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to place our cubes in the right areas. Do note that these cubes have a finite amount of 15 each, but you can also remove cubes as well in order to de-escalate on the DEFCON track, which can be quite important. I didn't actually talk about the misprint on the agenda cards because neither one of us picked a DEFCON track, but I will bring it up again later on. So we're going to go shuffle, 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 because I forgot to shuffle last time I played this in my test game. They draw 5 cards, as does the American player. As in games like Twilight Struggle, every card has 2 uses. If you are playing a card with your nation or the UN symbol on it, you get to put that out, and you get to do either the event or the command, which is how many cubes you get to place down. Anytime you place more than one cube in a turn, it could trigger DEFCON. So that's very important to keep in mind. You can also put as the event is written. Here's the catch, though. If I play a US card as the Soviet Union, the US gets to trigger the event if they want to. So there's always a bit of a risk. And the last card of every round goes into the aftermath pile. So that's the other very significant thing to keep in mind, is that there is indeed this aftermath pile that can swing the game by 2 prestige points, one way or the other. That can be the difference between winning or defeat. So you want to make sure that you plan ahead. So Soviet player goes first. Whenever the initiative is tied, it goes to the Soviet Union. I'll let whoever has the least prestige. And I only have one specific Soviet card here. And it's kind of a bad card to play. Because, I mean, I could de-escalate in the military, and that's not worth nothing because I do want to do that, but let's start small. Let's go ahead and play this UN card, U-Thant, after the Secretary General of the UN. I can't remember. I think he's from, I don't remember where he's from. I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to guess. I think it's either Singapore or South Korea, but I'm not positive. Anywho, and he's going to use it to play a command cube. He can put it anywhere he wants to on the board. And he's going to drop that bad boy in Berlin. His first turn is now done. You can only have 5 cubes aside in any particular area. Now, the US player needs to decide something. They need to decide, one, is this actually their goal, or are they just trying to mess with me? Or two, is there a possible, or are they just trying to misdirect me? Oh, that's quite nice. That is very cool. That is very nice. That gives me an important bonus here in the alliances card. I don't like those. I can escalate military DEFCON, but then deflate another track. I don't really care about that right now. I'm going to start by playing SOPs because it gives, anytime I use a command action, I get +1 cube. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in front of me just as a reminder that I played it. Back to the Soviets. There's still really no point in this, so we're going to go ahead and get involved in public protests. So the American player gets the choice to play the event if they want to, if they can legally do so. And the event always happens first. However, if you notice what this event does, it says remove any number of US influence cubes from any one battleground. That could be useful for de-escalating, but I don't care about escalation right now. So the American player, I'm going to keep saying Union because I have Fort Sumter on the brain this morning. The American player says, go for it, and they get to place 3 cubes anywhere they want to. I believe you can place them anywhere. You don't have to place them all in the same place either, but I do want to make sure of that. A single battleground. Okay. I can basically lock down Berlin. And that could be beneficial. But There's other things I could do as well. Especially if I want to mess with the Union, with the American player. I am going to put 3 influence cubes in the personal letter space. Oh, the UN space, sorry. So that's 1, 2, 3. So this increases my world opinion DEFCON by 2. 1, 2. Because the first one doesn't count. And this instantly makes the American player very suspicious. So that's going to be something that they're going to need to think about. If I play U2 downed, I have to play it eventually or it goes into the aftermath. I have to hope that this isn't giving away the ghost. That's always the issue, right? Notice that this specific event doesn't have the DEFCON symbol on it, which means any cubes placed or removed will not affect the DEFCON track. Unlike, say, Che Guevara here. I am going to go ahead and play U2 down, though, because I don't want this card in the aftermath if I can avoid it. And the Soviet Union says, yes, I will go ahead and do this. There is no Cuba battleground for the Americans, but they get to add 2 to Turkey. And they're going to say, that sounds great. Thanks, mate. They then get 2 cubes, but I could pump that up by using the personal letter. I really don't want to do that, though, if I can avoid it. So I'm going to go ahead and place... Where do I want to put those 2 cubes? Okay, this is going to be my bold plan. I'm going to basically try to throw... Oh, shoot. Yeah, I won't get any bonus points. Oh, no. Wait, I did pick Italy, didn't I? I thought for a moment I picked Cuba. Yeah, I picked Italy. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and place 2 blue cubes in... I'm going to place 1 in Italy. That's it. I'm not going to use both of them. I don't have to. And that's because I don't want to increase my DEFCON if I can avoid it. No, I will put 2 there. 1 DEFCON is no big deal, and I have other ways to manipulate that. So, 1 up on the political track. And that concludes America's turn. No, I definitely don't want to play non-invasion pledge if I can avoid it. And I don't want to play quarantine either. But I can only keep 1 card in the aftermath. And I think I'm going to make that card quarantine. Because it's only worth 1 US cube, which means it's not going to hurt me as much. So we have to eventually play non-invasion pledge. I just have to do it, and so I'm going to do it. America says I will exercise the abilities, so these 2 cubes get removed. And then I can escalate or deflate the U.S. political track by up to 2. I'm going to deflate it by 1, just so I'm not in the danger zone anymore. And then, oh, sorry, they get to actually do their thing, don't they? And then I actually picked what again? Cuba. Okay. I can win it with 1, but I won't get as many points as I could. But if I start playing it in the Atlantic battleground, it immediately tips off to the American player that Cuba is my battleground. So one of the important things is to make sure that you don't tell your opponent what you're doing, necessarily. But he does get his 2 cubes to place. And he's going to put both of them in alliances. No, yes. Because I have a cunning plan. No, I don't. I'm going to put them both in Cuba, because otherwise I'm going to lose Cuba. I then increase my military DEFCON by 1. This could be very, very bad. If the American player or I find a way to push me up there, I could cause a nuclear war and end the game. That's definitely become something that America would like to focus on now. Ooh. Perfect. I'm going to play National Liberation. And so the Soviet player has to sweat now. He sees that DEFCON token. If he plays any more than 1 cube, it's going to push up his military DEFCON. Oh, sorry, his political DEFCON, which is the only one that he needs to cause nuclear war. He's going to take a gamble here. And he is going to place 1 and only 1 cube here. Which has a double benefit, although the American player probably realizes it, maybe. Maybe there's always these thoughts within thoughts within thoughts in this game, which is what I really love about it. Because if you can figure out what they're doing, you can stop them quite quickly. So is this the Soviets trying to help themselves, or is it the Soviets trying to hurt me? I don't know, but it's something very interesting. But in any case, it's still my turn. I get to place a cube anywhere I see fit. And I'm going to put a cube in Turkey. Very important. Any cubes stay on the board. They don't go anywhere until someone deliberately removes them. So we're gonna beef up Turkey a tiny bit and try to keep the Soviet player on their toes. Okay. I really don't want to play this card. I think this is my Aftermath card. So I'm going to play... Do I want to play Turn Back the Ships for the event? No, I think I just want the card of the cube. So I'm going to play Turn Back the Ships. And I get to place 1 cube anywhere I like. And hey, if they don't want the alliances... Or, no, I'm going to take television. That could be a pretty beneficial thing. I have 2 that are both very useful for the U.S. And I've already got my battleground, and I play the last card. I could really hurt the Soviets in Cuba, but I can't keep them from taking control of it. If Cuba's their card, Cuba's their card. I can't stop them. So I'm going to go ahead and play Airstrike, as the card says, to add 2 cubes without affecting DEFCON to the Alliance's battleground. Now, both sides are going to add their last card into the aftermath pile. And that'll become important at the end of the game. So we have now completed this phase here. We've completed phase 4, and now we do the world opinion bonus. It doesn't really matter which order you resolve them in. So the Soviets can add +1 or -1 to anyone's DEFCON track or only their own DEFCON track. Let me see here. One of their own. They're definitely going to want to make sure they don't accidentally trigger nuclear war. They're going to go ahead and deflate the military one. Then they get to take the personal letter. And I don't think they get the prestige right away. Yeah, they just get the personal letter there. The 2 points on there is a reminder that if you use that as your goal, you get 2 prestige for it. But they just basically take the personal letter from their opponent. So here we go. But the Americans get to add another card to the aftermath. So what they do is they draw a card. And they either pick to discard it or stick it right into the aftermath. It's a UN card, so it's not going to help anybody. So they'll just discard the card. I forgot about this card. Oh well. There's only said that I had to add another command to it, so it's fine. Them is the breaks when you make mistakes. So we've now satisfied the world opinion bonus. Now we flip over the agendas. So the US's bonus was Italy. So they would get 1 prestige plus the difference in cubes. Since the difference in cubes is 3, they get 4 prestige to the US. Now, the Soviets get prestige equal to the difference in influence cubes. So in this case, it's 3. Plus a bonus that they also dominate any adjacent battleground. So they also get a +4. So for all of us both getting our goals, no one got any prestige. And then these cards are flipped over and discarded. We did not check for nuclear war, so we do that now. That's step 7. There is no nuclear war. And then we advance the round marker. And then we do the whole thing again. So, first thing that happens, we increase DEFCON tracks. Every DEFCON track increases by 1. Oh, and they also take all their flags back because there will be new agendas next round. Do note that things can't generally be battlegrounds more than once because there's only 1 of each card. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plus 1 for just having the personal letter. I think that's how that works. I have to double check and make sure. And we'll find out anyway. So we've escalated all of the DEFCON tracks. Very important. So right now, if we could trigger the end of the game shortly, we could definitely cause a nuclear war for the Soviets. That's going to be something they're going to want to be concerned about. Then each of us draws 3 cards for the agendas. Wait, what? So there's 13 cards. Oh yeah, you reshuffle the agenda deck. That's what happens. Derp, derp, derp. Yeah, because eventually you're going to have to shuffle the agenda cards because there's only 13 of them. Well, I guess they do go face up. Oh, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Perfect. Let me just make sure that they didn't goof and include too few cards, but I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Yeah, there's 13. So, yep. So, yeah, you're basically always going to be doing that. Okay. So the Soviet Union has these 3 goals. They could be ahead on the political DEFCON track. So do know, when this agenda is revealed, it does increase the DEFCON marker. That could be very, very bad, because it could trigger nuclear war. I really don't like this one. This could be catastrophic. But I still have to mark it, so that my opponent knows it could be one of my goals. Then I'm going to put this pawn on the personal letter, and I'm going to put this pawn on the Atlantic military battleground. America has the 2 military DEFCONs. So now I'll mention the misprint. This should be dominating player receives prestige equal to difference in DEFCON status. +1. That's the difference. So yeah, I'm actually going to put both of mine here in the military. And then one in the political. So I'm very interested as the American player in getting busy with the DEFCON tracks. More so than actually necessarily putting things out on the board, but who knows, right? So then I need to make decisions for each player. For the Soviets, we resolve agenda after world opinion buff. So if I picked personal letter, they could steal the United Nations from me. And that could get them 2 prestige, which I definitely don't want to do. I don't really want the political track to get any higher than it is now. So I'm going to secretly choose the Atlantic battleground as my agenda. And the other 2 are discarded face down. It doesn't matter that you discard them face up, but... No, actually it does matter, because then by determining which ones you're discarded, they tell. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I'm already ahead in the political track. But it wouldn't be hard to escalate in the military track. I really don't want any of these. I don't like gambling on the DEFCON track. But if I had to pick, I can just put nothing in the world opinion and be safe from causing nuclear war. So I'm going to pick political as my goal. But I'll probably try to manipulate both of them just to mess with my opponent. Okay. Since we are once again tied in prestige, we each draw our cards, but the Soviet player goes first. And there we go. It's a very mixed hand. Let's see here. Suez, Hungary. Oh, I can basically crank out... Oh, wow. I can just dominate in Italy. And Italy could always come up as another battleground. So that's a very powerful card. I do like Moskarovka. But I'm not in DEFCON 3. I'm in DEFCON 2. Yeah, that's not great. Okay, that's the perfect time to play that card. Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and play offensive missiles. And the American player can activate it because they're not in DEFCON 3. And I get to place 2 cubes. Or up to 2 cubes, I should say. I'm going to do something very sneaky. No. I could also remove cubes. But then that would pretty much guarantee that they're going to guess that I didn't choose the personal letter. Man. It's the mind games that make this game great, right? It's the where does he actually care to put his influence? Because here's the thing. If I put them in, say, Cuba, the political background, I instantly tell them this is probably my goal. But it also inflates this, so I think there's actually a real benefit to putting it here as kind of a double mindfuck. So I'm going to go 1, 2. Only got 5 left, which increases my political step by 1. And that concludes my turn. I really don't like that one. I do like speech to the nation. That would trigger DEFCON, so I don't mind that quite as much. I really like that one, though. Speech to the nation is so good, though. And it doesn't affect DEFCON either, so I'm going to play that. I'm going to put 1 cube in United Nations and 2 cubes in television. And the world opinion doesn't change because there was no DEFCON symbol right there. Alright. This is an incredibly powerful card that I'm going to want to be the last card I play. And if I want to beef up, then yeah, I think we're going to do this. We're going to play nuclear submarines. So I'm going to do up to 2 cubes on 1 or more military backgrounds. And it does not, repeat, does not affect DEFCON. So we're going to go 1... 2. American player's turn. Saving Operation Mongoose or the Aftermath phase does make a bit of sense. He's got 3 cubes left. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play 50-50 as an event. I have the most in television, so I get to escalate or deflate any 2 by 1 step. I'm going to push political up by 1. And I'm going to push military up by 1. And I'm doing this for a very specific reason. I'm trying to keep them from guessing which is actually my goal. Remember, though, the agenda escalates everything up by 1. So I really, really don't want to be here when it ends. Unless I have a way to instantly reduce it. Which maybe I will and maybe I won't. Alright. The Soviet military is not in DEFCON 3, alas. The thing is, I only have 3 cubes left. So if I play this card now, it actually hurts me. I'm going to go ahead and play Suez-Hungary for command. And I am going to remove 2 cubes from Berlin. Which then de-escalates my military by 1. That's maybe not the smartest of ideas, but it's the only place I can really... No. Yeah, because I don't remove 2 cubes, I don't de-escalate. I could just remove 1 cube. Because I really just want the cube. So I'm actually going to change my mind on that. I'm going to put this back in... I'm going to put them both back in Berlin, and I'm just going to take 1 cube out of the UN. No, I'll take 1 out of Cuba. No, I want to take it out of the UN because I want to de-escalate and world opinion. Which actually won't matter. I have to take 2 out, so I'll just stop there. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. Now, this does slightly alter the blue strategy, potentially. The American player strategy. Because now they could take the personal letter. Now, the fact they removed a cube from the personal letter is a pretty good indication that it's not there, but the personal letter is just nice to have. But I can't force the Soviets to de-escalate, which is really what I want. I'd love to have the Soviets deflate in the political background so that I can claim it. But I could just use television to do that too, right? I'm going to play Moscow on the brain because I need some flexibility right now. So they can place up to 4 influence cubes. Notice it will increase DEFCON, so he's definitely going to be very careful about this. He's just going to add 1 cube, so he doesn't increase DEFCON. He's going to add 1 cube to... is it a military or political? What is it? It's any battleground where they've already got influence. So they'll actually just add the one they lost back to the UN. That's fine. Oh, but then they can't use their Italy strategy. So they actually decline. They say, I'm not going to do anything. And they're like, really? All right, mate. Oh, I really don't want to push here. Because if I do, it's going to automatically increase into 1, and then I have to kick it back down into 2. As long as I can guarantee that I have television, it's not the end of the world. But, very important, the Soviets actually have all of their units in... I didn't even realize that. Yeah, they would cause nuclear war. Because all of theirs are in 2 right now. So they're definitely going to want to deflate somewhere. And take cubes off. I don't want to deflate political, though. I'd rather deflate military. And what's really irritating is I can't because I don't have any cubes in military right now. Where do I want to put these cubes? I could put 3 cubes in the Atlantic military battleground. It would inflate my military by 2, which would maybe even convince them that that's what I'm going for. It is dangerous, but I think it's worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and place 3 cubes here. And then it inflates by 2. And then we switch to the Soviet player. Now the Soviets are in a real issue right now, a real bind. They have to basically play Maskirovka because they have to take 2 cubes out to deflate something, or they're gonna lose the game because of DEFCON. And they would most like to deflate World Opinion because they know the Americans aren't going for that, but they can only deflate that by 1. So they're gonna have to gamble here. And they're going to gamble that the Americans' goal is the military. So they'd rather deflate the political. So they're going to play Maskirovka. And they're really worried right now. Really desperately worried. So they're going to go ahead and even spend the personal letter. So they give it back. They give it over to the Americans. So they can remove 3 cubes. Because they really want to get something de-escalated. No, they're not going to waste a personal letter because they can only remove 2 cubes. And they're going to remove them both from Berlin. So that super awesome card that they wanted to play, that Suez Hungary card, got wasted, unfortunately. And then they deflate military. And then they deflate... No, they don't want to deflate military. Remember, they think military is what they're doing. But they can't really deflate politics without costing themselves some points. Maybe. No, 1 prestige is huge, but... no, they're going to pull out of Berlin. They know Berlin can't hurt them in prestige, and it at least calms them down enough so that there's no chance of nuclear war. Okay, last card for the Americans. This card is suicide if I play it as an event. Because then they just say, okay, well, I increase that. And then I go, fuck. I don't want to give them this either, though. These are both awful, awful cards. Man, I really don't want to put a 3-cube card in the Aftermath pile. But I really don't want to let them basically stop me from ever playing in Cuba again. Which is what'll happen. Because they can place the cubes without DEFCON affecting it. I don't want to play the Fidel Castro card, but I don't want to go into the Aftermath either. I'm going to play Operation Mongoose. But not as the event says, as for command. And I'm going to put... I'm going to put 2 cubes in Cuba. I'm tired of being forced out of that. And then I do that. We now do the Aftermath card, so each of us takes our last card, flips it over, sticks it in the Aftermath deck. Then we get to resolve agendas. So we reveal them both. So all the political markers escalate by 1 step. So that's 1, 2. The Americans have a benefit of... So the difference is 2. I'm 2 ahead of them. So I get 2 prestige, plus 1 for 3. Oh no, sorry. We do that after World Opinion bonus does. So basically what I'm going to do as the US is I'm going to... Okay, so these go back where they were. I'm going to de-escalate the political. I don't have a choice. sadly. And then, let's see. They keep the personal letter, and then I also get an extra Aftermath card as the U.S. So we draw a card. Oh, that's getting discarded. That's not going in the Aftermath deck. Okay, then we resolve the agendas, which means the politicals both advance by 1. Oh, if it's in the political, if it's in DEFCON 2, then it increases by 1 step. So the difference is only 1, so I only gain 2 prestige. But here's the really big news. I actually won the Atlantic Battleground 2. It's only 1 prestige, but 1 prestige is a big deal, and more importantly, it's 1 less for the Soviet Union. A nuclear war has not happened. Barely. So we go ahead and advance the round marker. This is the final round of the game. As long as we don't trigger nuclear war here, then it'll go to the final scoring. America does have a very nice advantage right now, but it is certainly not insurmountable. Okay, all DEFCON increases by 1. Remember, it's got to be by phase 7. We have to fix this, or nuclear war happens. And then we pick the agendas. So, the Soviet player has the initiative, so they're going to draw this last one, and then we'll reshuffle. Oh, sorry, those get discarded. So there we go. Then we go shuffle, 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 shuffle. They draw 2. And they get 3. So they get Berlin, military, and political. The Soviet Union gets world opinion, Cuba, and military. Okay. What does the Soviet Union want to keep? Well, they're way behind in military, so that's actually pretty silly. They're ahead in world opinion for right now. And they're also ahead in Cuba for right now, with actually a larger potential bonus. So I think they're going to go ahead and take Cuba. Although taking military would also force escalation, that could be intriguing as a way to basically force the Americans to cause nuclear war and win the game that way. Which might be easier than beating them by beating them with prestige. So I think we will actually pick No, we're going to pick Cuba. No, we're going to pick military. And then these get discarded face down. American player. He really doesn't want to bat on either of the tracks, because that's going to force them to move up. And he's in pretty big danger of causing nuclear war anyway. So this is actually a very easy choice for them. He's going to pick Berlin as his objective. Just because revealing these agenda cards will cause nuclear war, and he definitely can't have that. Okay. Each player draws 5 cards. So you will actually not see every card in every game. There's not enough cards in the deck for that. And the Soviets play first, have the initiative. They can also choose to go second, by the way. And I think they will actually choose to go second. Oh my lord, this hand. Alright, they have chosen to go second. Both sides have pretty crappy hands here. Is there anything here that can allow him to deflate just by using an event? He really doesn't. Fuck. Oh, dang. I'm basically gonna have to abandon the Atlantic. It's the only way I'm gonna be able to get that deflated enough to stop a nuclear war. I'm gonna be spending most of this turn deflating, actually, and hoping that I can, like, sneak in a cube to Berlin and hope they don't figure out my strategy. Because if I cause a nuclear war, I lose. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to begin with the Berlin blockade. And the Soviet player gains 2 prestige. But then I get to pick... So actually, the real question is, will the Soviet player trigger the event? 2 prestige is huge. But they don't want me to basically force them to cause a nuclear war. That's kind of where we are in this. You can argue that if the other side causes a nuclear war, then that's actually losing the game. But hey, if there's 2 Americans left standing and 1 Soviet, we win the game. That may be the best path to victory for the Soviets, actually, is to try to force the Americans to cause one. So they're actually going to decline to activate this event. It's just not sensible for them to do that. The 2 prestige is not worth them basically cranking up the public opinion and basically forcing them to pull out of public opinion in order to keep it from hitting 1. So yeah, they decline. And then the Americans are going to remove, as much as this pains me, 2 cubes out of the Atlantic. That really hurts. Oh well. It does, most importantly, deflate the military, so I can't cause a nuclear war that way. That's basically going to be, the American turn is going to be deflate, 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 and then hope they can sneak in and take Berlin for some prestige. Alright, so that's what happened there. The Soviet player plays second, and boy do they hate this hand. They're going to play intelligence reports. So where is... I have to make a 4-sided die. I can do that. Let's get a chrome 4-sided die. And then we're just going to roll this, basically, and whichever one is the one that gets discarded. They do get to draw another card, but... So that is a 2. Which actually discarded face up. So, and I'm kind of like, oh man. And then we hand that to them. And yeah, that is my entire turn. Oh, when I take the card, I can play it or discard it. But I don't want to play this. Because I don't want to inflate world opinion. I want to deflate some things. So that was Soviet turn. Americans now take their turn. Ooh. That's very spicy. That lets me make an important move at the end of the turn. Basically, this is going to be the last card I play. I'm going to use it to shift from Italy to Berlin without affecting things. So, okay. I'm going to play Containment for removing cubes. And I think removing also has to be from one battleground. Because I think you always add, whenever you play command, it always has to be one battleground. Which is the downside. Give me just a second here. Yep. Okay. So I've enjoyed having these alliances, but deflating public opinion is important, and I'd rather lose alliances than DEFCON. So I'm going to take them off the board. And then we're going to go boop. And then all I have to do is get this down one, which I can also do by just holding on to television. And then I can prevent myself from causing nuclear war. So that's good news. This is very bad news, however. But these are actually not so bad, actually. Because all these involve placing lots of cubes, which the Americans are not going to want to do. I don't want to play this card. This event is too powerful. I'd almost rather it show up in the aftermath than have it show up in right now. That would be extremely bad. Because then they can just deflate in the political, unless that's their thing, without having to discard cubes, which means they can start adding cubes back onto the board. I really don't want that. They can basically play one cube for free. That's a lot better than anything else here. So we're going to play XCOM. And wrong XCOM, if that's what you were thinking. They're going to choose to place one cube back in alliances, because it's a nice one to have. Because I want to wait till last possible minute to add Berlin. But then the Soviets get to do 3 cubes. And what was their goal? Did they pick Cuba? No, they picked the military track. So they really want to add cubes to the military, if they can manage it. But remember, this is my secret goal, is actually to cause them to cause nuclear war. That's my secret objective, which they are not aware of. I mean, they definitely know that I could have picked it, and so they're probably going to want to reduce it by 1 more just to be on the safe side, which will then give me the chance to leap in front. But I'm going to go ahead and add some cubes. Actually, I want to remove cubes, don't I? Because I really want to de-escalate. So I'm going to pull 2 cubes out of Cuba. Cuba. Get it? Get it? And that effectively eliminates the risk of me causing nuclear war as a Soviet player. So the Americans know that they may be able to use their military card to push me up 1 and thereby cause nuclear war. I really want to get that down. I don't have the personal letter. Shit. No, I'm going to use close allies to do removal of cubes. As much as... Oh, dear. I don't have 2 cubes to remove from a military. Shit. And if I don't have 2, I can't remove this. I can't push this down by 1. So I'm basically going to have to add cubes and then remove them. Is what I'm going to have to do. Oh, well. So I'm going to play strategic balance. And the Soviets will take the opportunity to put a free cube that doesn't affect DEFCON in the Atlantic battleground. And then I'm going to add a cube to Cuba. Cuba. No, I'm not. I'm going to add it to the Atlantic military background. Damn. I mean, this is going to basically hand them the game if it hits the aftermath pile. And I can't really do anything about that. I can't really do anything about that. Are we all... We're still in DEFCON 2, right? Yeah. Because when I play the card, I basically utterly destroy any chance of getting them to cause nuclear war. Which is basically my best path to victory. So I gotta play... But if I don't play it, then it basically hands them the game in the aftermath. Because 3 cubes is a big deal in the aftermath. But I want to force them to do something suboptimal in order to do what they're wanting to do. So I'm going to pick one of these other cards. We're going to pick U2 photographs. And they're going to take the chance, because it's a military battleground, they're going to take a chance to go ahead and add an influence cube to Berlin. Like, it's free, right? Why not do it? And then I get to add a cube or remove a cube. I'm going to go ahead and add a cube to television. Beads of sweat pouring down the American player's face. And he's only got 2 cards left. He didn't get what he wanted, which is a sneak into Berlin. So he has to do this. Actually, he could do it with close allies. That way, at least he's benefiting himself in the aftermath. He's going to pull out 2 cubes from the Atlantic, effectively conceding it to the Soviets. So that he can de-escalate. Oh, no, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to de-escalate political now. Yeah. Whoops. Sorry. He's going to de-escalate in political. He's going to take these 2 cubes out of Cuba. Cuba. That never gets old. And then that de-escalates political to here. So both sides are technically out of the woods right now. Now... this card doesn't hurt so much now. Yes, they could de-escalate in political, but that doesn't hurt at this point. I've basically conceded that we're not going to cause nuclear war. So I'm going to go ahead and play this card. And they're going to take the opportunity to de-escalate the political track by 2. They're really concerned about that. Then they get to place 1 cube anywhere they want to. They're going to put it back in television, because that's a pretty good benefit. And then the Soviets can add up to 3 cubes. Because they're the last one playing, they can basically give themselves television, which will allow them to de-escalate whichever track they escalate. So they're going to basically do this and then de-escalate it. at the very end. Okay. Each side is then going to take their last card, put it in the aftermath pile. We then resolve the world opinion bonuses. The Soviets go first, and they're going to de-escalate in public opinion. They get the personal letter, but they've already got it. And then the Americans do get to draw another aftermath card. I'm just going to put it in the Soviet hand. And they don't really care about that one, but they'll discard it anyway. Because the UN cards don't matter. We then resolve agendas. And all of a sudden, the American player realizes they guessed wrong. Because here's what just happened. Yes, let's not lose the fact that the Americans gained 2 more prestige. But everything in DEFCON Area 2 moves up by 1. Oh no. 1, 2. Both sides cause nuclear war. The world is destroyed, and nobody wins. Because we have an American token in DEFCON 1 now, but now all 3 of the Soviets are in DEFCON 2. Oh dear. What an anticlimactic way to end the game, but that is how the game ended. The Soviets really should have been paying attention to this, but they never thought of it. And that's why you always want to be constantly checking your agenda card, just so you don't forget about it. I'd actually remembered them picking Cuba. So the Americans like, I have the most prestige, oh shit. And the world is gone. It had a good run. Thank you very much for watching 13 Days. If this anticlimactic finish leaves you unsatisfied, War of the Ring starts next week. War of the Ring 2nd edition. And that is going to be a very, very crunchy game. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. This is a great game, though. And I highly recommend it if you played and enjoyed Fort Sumter. Just because it gives a lot of the same itches, but there's this tension of, is someone going to cause nuclear war? Because let's just check, right? Because, the game is ended. Let's look at the Aftermath deck and see who would have won in Aftermath. So basically, whoever has the most cubes gets 2 more prestige. So America would have won the game if it got into the Aftermath. But they would have won it anyway, because they had an advantage of 5. Very well played game by the Americans. And the Soviets decided, in typical Soviet fashion, they'd rather obliterate the planet than let the Americans win. Very thematic. Until next time, though, thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.